I replaced my obsession with baseball with my obsession to juggle. And throwing is something that I did a lot. I did a lot of pitching, a lot of throwing to first baseman, or even being the first baseman. I was programmed to catch. I was programmed to throw, and just changing the orientation in which I did that, instead of throwing it overhead or doing anything that hurt my shoulder, I was able to do something that was underhand.
Right.
And at a point in time, when I was finishing up my baseball career, I was beginning to juggle already. I was just learning how to juggle. And thanks to you, juggling ping pong balls one day while I bounced them into a cup, that was the moment that invigorated me. And I remember that so specifically. That day when we were in the playroom of our house and you began to juggle 3 ping pong balls, I was like, what is this? How do you do this? And I thought that was so cool. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as you're talking, I'm thinking about, you talked about identity, right? And even though you felt like that was your identity in baseball, and then it kind of started to get into juggling, along with that, I came along and my identity as your father and everything else was embedded in that, and as you got into juggling, my identity started to shift in that direction as well. And, I really didn't go any farther than juggling 3 balls incorrectly from the very beginning, doing a reverse cascade, which is all I knew.
That's really funny because in this mental image I have of you juggling, I was thinking of you doing a cascade, but you were not doing a cascade. You were doing the reverse cascade.
Right, and that felt normal to me. I thought that was, and Matt's like, no, that's really hard. Like, you learned something really hard. But I'm like, well, how do you do it right? Oh, you do it like this. I'm like, I can't do a cascade. How do you do that?
This is neuroplasticity. You learned something that was technically, it was fine, but learning how to juggle, this is much more difficult than throwing on the inside and releasing by your belly button. Right. But since you practice it over and over and over, your brain changed to develop this motor pattern to be easier, which is something that I find really interesting, especially with my juggling nowadays. Trying to find these, I don't know if hacks would be the right term, but finding these possibilities with brain change, with neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
Cutting down to the chase, a lot of what I do is research, trying to find out how to learn faster, how to learn more efficiently. Yeah. Because with fatigue constantly building up, I can't go for 4 hours every day. Right now I'm juggling every single day.
Every day, right?
Every day, along with weightlifting. So I'm trying.
And it's heavy training. It's not, you're just not going and playing around.
No.
I mean, it's serious business, right?
Some days a little less than others, but
yeah. And what's your goal out of all that? Why would you do that? Why are you working so hard?
Something that I realized is the person who does something every day is the person who gets the most neuroplasticity, which in turn tends to mean that you get the furthest in your career. Now, I'm at a constant battle of fatigue, as I mentioned before. And that's why a lot of people don't train every day, because if you train every day, you're never going to be fully recovered. But what I notice is when I'm dancing around that point of overload, that's where I find the most growth. And with the goals that I have in mind right now, where I'm trying to compete in the WJF, the World Juggling Federation competitions, at the young age of 18, I'm going against guys who are 26, 27, 28, and some guys who are really good, much older.
Yeah, their skills are really intense.
And they're better than me, by far. But it's about getting addicted to the process. It's not about getting addicted to the results. You know me with my mindset. It's not always the best for performing or doing shows, because I just go in there and wing it.
Well, I mean, I kind of love that about your performances, but it doesn't make me nervous anymore. But boy, did it at the beginning.
Yeah, that's how I roll. But I get addicted to the process, which in a lot of situations, such as training for a big competition, getting addicted to the process rather than to the goal is what matters. When I have a bad day, I'm happy that I went in and did it. I'm not mad at myself because I had a bad session. It's all part of the process.
Right.
What do you think about the process-focused mindset?
Yeah, I think setting a specific goal is unhealthy in a way, because what happens when you achieve it, you don't have anything to do next. Like you've achieved it, where do you go next, right? But if you've got to focus on kind of an introspective focus on improvement, right, all the time, and just a kind of a lifestyle of improvement,
Yeah.
right, then you know, if you win that competition, that's not the end. That's just part of it, and the possibilities are infinite. They're not discrete.